Hey everyone. To say that everything is possible, I have seen that as true. Anything can happen. And I've seen that in mystical ways and in what word to use, glorious ways. And I will give you two examples of this. I can't tell you that we can get everything that we want. I can't say it if that is true or not because I don't know by experience. But I will give you two examples of why anything is possible. And yeah, okay. So the first example I have is like the supernatural example. One evening, I felt called intuitively to go to the forest at late evening when it was dark to stay in awareness and go through the fear of going into the forest when it was dark. It was something I had to go through at that moment. And when I arrived at um, the gate, not long before the gate, like 100 meters from the gate to the forest, I I just looked to my right side on the other side of the street, and there was this tree standing there on the corner, and it was like almost winter, so almost no leaves and so on. And I looked at it, and in the same moment I looked at it, an apple fell down, and I've been there many times, and I had never realized that it was an apple tree. Anyway, an apple fell down and it started rolling, and it became like abnormal because it kept rolling. This street is like 20 to 30 meters wide, and it was not normal at all that the apple would keep rolling. So I was like walking slowly while looking at it, and then I thought to myself, okay, I will stop up right here, and if the apple stops right in front of me, something is up. And then I stopped up and I kept looking at the apple, and it just rolled all the way to my feet. It was supernatural, or whatever word we want to use. It was far from normal. Normally an apple falls down and it rolls like a meter, maybe two, and it just stops. But like 30 meters, maybe. Oh my god. Um, I'm still not 100% sure what it meant. Dr. Joe Dispenza says that supernatural experiences can have a meaning or something like that for us personally. And I'm still not sure 100% what it meant. But it was supernatural, and it was one of the many, many supernatural experiences that I've seen, experienced. So here is another more grounded. Uh, Before I got my spiritual awakening, before I was spiritual aware, I was like having my daily life, and um, I was seeing this girl, which I knew that she was sweet towards me, and I knew I never would want to be with her like in a relationship because of who she is, but like the energy is how you know and it was back then, so it's far from who I am right now. But um, and she wasn't really resonating. Only like, you know, it was like a sexual relationship, friendship, and she grew happier for me, and I grew happier for her. But I knew I never wanted to be like in a relationship with her, and so I had this mask on. I wanted to keep her in check. It was back then. It was like to protect myself in a way, because I know she wants to manipulate boys, men. Back then it's like many many years ago. But again, she was sweet. She was sweet towards me, and I was of course sweet towards her. But there was like this mask I had taken on to protect myself, so I didn't truly fell for her, because it wouldn't have gone the way my heart truly wanted to go. I just knew it. So other than that, I was sincere. I was sweet. I didn't manipulate her. Like, I was just having boundaries. a mask but a boundary for my heart to protect myself because, you know, um, I can really get attached, you know. So all was well, and then I met her best friend. I never thought I would be in a situation like that, but I met her best friend, a girl. And when I saw her the first time, oh my god, she was one of the most beautiful girls I had ever seen, ever, you know. And I just, you know, it was like, whoa, she was extraordinary, and I just felt it immediately. And I had never been like that before. I'd never been in a situation like that before. So I would say I was quite innocent, you know, like innocent in my behaviors. Like I never want to harm anyone on purpose. So okay, one evening I was sitting with my best friend back then, and we were playing games, and I thought about, you know, her best friend, and I was like thinking to myself, oh my god, I really want to be with her, you know, like in a relationship, and you know, um, and I thought to myself, can I be with her? Can I really be with her? And I felt my whole body screaming, yes, I can. And it was extraordinary, so to speak. I had never, of what I can remember, I had never felt it before. My whole body said yes, and that convinced me. And it was before my awakening, and I was used to, I was conditioned or had like ancestral karma or whatever of I can't what I want, I can't do this, I can't, okay? So it was like when I felt this, it was so convincing. I was just like, I trusted it. And I asked myself, it was kind of like it was happening by itself. I trusted what, it was like, I was like, I don't know. In that moment, I was like listening to my intuition and self in a way I hadn't done maybe since I was a kid. I can't remember, you know. And I was like, I trust this. Is there anything I should do? And I just felt no, and I just trusted that feeling. Like I had not heard about spirituality. I had heard about ghosts and so on, but not about spirituality in that way. It was like a closed door to my mind or to my reality in a way. It felt like it was meant to be that way. Now that I'm looking back, I had been studying Illuminati for like a couple of years back then. At that point, I think, or was it after? Maybe it was after. I can't really remember right now. I only studied and I was interested in, you know, in knowing truth and so on. You know, never like liking them and so on. Um, so I trust what I felt like, and I just, you know, felt like just keep doing what you're doing, you know, keep seeing the girl I was seeing, and I'm interested in her best friend. You know, it was weird in a way, but it felt naturally in the same way. So I kept, you know, hanging out with her friend and hanging out with the girl I saw from the beginning, and you know, didn't think too much about her best friend, um, because back then, also because like I didn't have proof of this, you know, I hadn't been in a situation like this before either. Um, so I was like, yeah, I just went with the flow apparently, without thinking about going with the flow really. But I was going with the flow and seeing the girl I was seeing and hanging out and having fun and whatever, and then one evening, it was magical actually. It was really, and then one evening, she asked me if I wanted to go out and drink at the evening, you know, and I said yes, of course, and I was enjoying her and being with her and so on. As I said, she was really nice to me. And we went out, and her best friend came with us, and I was still like, you know, neutral, you know. And that evening we went to some of their, no, the girl I was with, or seeing my friend. Um, we went to her friends, and I didn't like those type, like hardcore types, whatever. But we had fun and we drank, and then I kissed her, and then I'm going into details, but I'm trying to be fast. And then it was like, um, I can't remember why, but then I kissed her best friend, and it was like, and she was perfectly fine with it, because it was like, I don't remember if it because we played a game or something. But that was nice, and then we went into the nightclub later, and as soon as we came into the nightclub, and I just started talking with her best friend, or she started talking with me, I can't remember, and we just clicked. It was like, whoa. We just clicked, and we sat down at the table, and we just talked, and we finished each other's sentences. It was just like, what is going on? This is so amazing. It was like, whoa, really whoa. And, within 15 minutes, she asked me if I wanted to go home with her. And I was like, yes, of course. It's a long time ago. But that was like the magical moment, We just began to talk, and we just clicked, and we just finished each other's sentences, and we had so much in common. It was like, what the fuck is going on? It was just amazing. And we went home to her, and we, eventually she became my girlfriend. And yeah, it wasn't the most harmonious relationship. It probably was the first month, maybe 1.5 months. But yeah, after that, yeah, downhill, I guess. But that's like two ways of saying that, coming with example of anything is possible. But like the first thing, as I mentioned with the apple tree, like that was supernatural. Like that was not normal. And with the girl, my whole body said yes. So I already got a confirmation, but it was like a new kind of confirmation that I hadn't experienced before, and I just trusted it. So, I don't know how reality actually works in a way of like, would my body had said yes if in the moment someone truly wasn't like interested? What is it like? If I'm not sure about this, I'm just thinking out loud right now. Like, I'm not sure if let's say a girl. It's just the example. A girl is not interested, and would I shift into a reality where she is interested, or is that just bollocks or bullshit? I'm not sure, actually. And as anyone else who is like learning every day and growing every day, like I am, I'm still learning to trust what I feel. Does this feel right? Yes or no? Sometimes I can feel yes and no at the same time, and I'm not sure if the yes is truly a yes, or if the no is truly a no. If it's like a belief that says yes, or a belief that says no. Sometimes, yeah, it's something I'm dealing with, So, yeah. It's not like, yeah, it's far from always like, yeah, I've only experienced it 2 times now of what I can remember, where the whole body says yes. Okay, 3 times. 3 times. Not just with a girl, but where the whole body said yes. The second time that happened, I will end the video with this. The second time it happened was after my spiritual awakening, which happened suddenly. And I was standing and looking in my room, like out to the wall, to the universe, to my higher self, to God, whatever. And I said, so I can have everything that I want. and my whole body, said yes, and it felt so good. Yeah. So like, one is a mystical experience where I didn't see it coming, which always, like all the mystical experiences I've experienced, I didn't see them coming. They just happened by themselves. And then there's this where, the confirmation of my body, my intuition just knows, I guess, and gave me clear yes. Maybe it was important that I knew back then, or yeah. I have always been someone who is supporting people in going after what they want, and I will continue to do that. But yeah, we only know what we know, and for me, it's not always enough just to listen to what others are saying. You know, it's nice to have like confirmations, real life experience. Um, so I'm not just like reading this or copy pasting this, without having like this firm knowing about it. So yeah, that's it. Take care.